All right, so this is the Live with Pi third episode starring
Wesley Denison.
Okay, and we also have here me, Aslan. We have Mark. Say hi, Mark.
Hola.
Oh,
¿Cómo estás?
Yo no hablo Portuguese.
I'm sorry.
And last but not least, we have another person named Jeremy. Say hello, Jeremy.
Howdy.
All right, so let's get this ball rolling.
All right.
So, Wesley, I'm told that you are a upcoming content creator. Is this correct?
I mean, one could say that. A potential content creator.
And what kind of content does this comprise of?
Original music production. So I've been a musician since I was really young. I played guitar, piano since I was like probably 4. I played guitar, I know, when I was 4. I picked up piano around when I was like 5. Doesn't matter. Like I've always had a real good, like a big passion for music and a big passion for like original, like not just pop kind of music. Like I'm actually really pissed off about the way that like our society today really like handles how they perceive artists and stuff. Like they elevate these people that are just mediocre musicians to gods because they're in the mainstream view, and then like people just kind of follow it like sheep, and it kind of pisses me off. So I'm unique. I'm a snowflake. I'm pretty I'm pretty cool, So like I make some pretty cool music.
Cool like a snowflake, right?
Exactly.
Spill the beans, Yoda.
But yeah, no, I mean, all jokes aside, like I've been working on like a lot of different stuff. I'm really bad habitually because I literally get all of my projects to this point where it's like, hey, the core idea is here. This is good. I'll work on this later. And then I move on to the next one. I'm back to the honeymoon phase. And then I'm like, I have a lot of unfinished tracks that I have to like actually finish. But I do hope to actually like create one cohesive album of just like live music, because there's like like I said, I play guitar, piano. I actually play drums. I learned that semi recently, like in the past couple of years. But also like I've been doing like electronic music for a while. Like before that, learning FL Studio and stuff. But the electronic music that I produce is definitely like different from the live aspect, because there's a lot less live. There's almost no live instrumental in the electronic, and I have almost only live instrumental in the other. So it's kind of like two different perspectives on my musical take.
Two different genres is clashing in your head.
Right. So to be honest with you, I don't know how I'm gonna like manage that as a brand, because you want to have consistency in your music, especially to target an audience. But I'm trying to think like, how am I going to target an audience and also still keep my creative integrity, and also still, my bad, Mark, but also still like not just abandon the thousands of hours of work that I put into like 50 different projects, So it's kind of like a lot of that was a learning process, but now I think what I'll probably end up leaning toward is kind of doing a mixture, just kind of melding the two different styles and see how that works out. But I do want to have, I actually have like more than probably 3 albums worth of music that I have like in draft form, which is ridiculous if you think about it.
That's a lot of crap to have on the back burner.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like I did it to myself.
I'm getting ready to release the soundtrack to the next. I don't got a movie reference. I'm sorry.
Carry on.
The next Interstellar. And then I can just, all you got to do is just get like a bunch of synths and then just slowly make it louder until it's like plus 30. So it starts like, and it's like, and then you can't hear any of the dialogue. It's perfect. I'd be great at making movie soundtracks. But no, like, yeah, I definitely would like to move toward actually produce, or to actually just like focusing on one coherent album, in the sense that it's thematically, what you want to call it, like related, I guess you could say, or like, it shares the same theme, and it'll share the same kind of general stuff, because I like some electronic, I like some other indie stuff that is not necessarily indie rock, but like, so I jump around a lot, and it's kind of like, oh, how do I put myself out there? Also another thing is I don't know how I'm going to get published or anything like that. I'll probably be self-published, but how do I protect my music with copyrights and stuff, and make sure that my ideas don't get stolen? Not then again, stolen, quote unquote. I think some quote said that like it's like the musician's biggest compliment for somebody to copy you or whatever. But it's not in that sense. More of like people re-uploading the content or something like that, and that kind of thing for me.
Taking credit for work that's not there.
Exactly, not about the other thing. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. That was a long string of words that kind of didn't mean that much. If you haven't heard any of my music,
basically the basic gist is you have all this music on the back burner, and you're just you're having a hard time getting all these pieces of music that have like the same atmosphere.
Yeah.
And you don't know which ones to release on which albums.
Right. So what I don't know. What I might end up doing is just doing like one coherent album, because I have like a lot of live pieces that are kind of they're have a similar format, more of like a 4-piece band kind of vibe to it, where it's like I've got the guitar layer, and then you've got like maybe some form of keyboard or guitar, or a piano or something. And then you've got the you're good. And then you've got like the drum layer, and then possibly like a bass layer. But then it all kind of comes together and sounds more like, I'd say more like indie rock jazz, which is kind of like an interesting place to be in. Yeah, it's a little wild. It's hard to tie my music down to a genre because it's not like out there, but it is, because it's still structured pretty stingently, I'd say. It's not like I'm just making like really weird like Radiohead stuff.
No, I got you.
But it is hard to talk to people about having all these different angles, and then not really being able to or I felt like sometimes I'm not able even to focus on like one thing, because I'm so scatterbrained when it comes to my own like music creation. But I would love to be able to just kind of like draw a line through it all and just make something coherent first to put out there, so that you can get a good first impression. But also, I don't know how I'm gonna like shift the image after that, because then I'm gonna Chili Peppers, and then like the next track that I'm working on is like it sounds like trap. So it's like, how do you do that? I really don't know.
No, I really get that. I know what some artists do is, there's some artists like that I know of that do that. Mm-hmm. Like there's this one artist I listen to that is in like his own band, like he's the lead singer.
Yeah.
And he also does a side gig where he does like electronic music. Yeah. And what he does is he doesn't have it with the same like band. What he does is he just has his own like I guess band name he does with just like work with just do different types of music. Right.
So it's kind of tough, but then again, I kind of like it. I kind of like the one man band kind of thing for me personally, because that means that I can like have 100% creative control. And that is really important to me, because I want to make something that I like, but also is objectively quality. And that's kind of hard for me, because my main focus when I'm making music isn't to make like, how do I make, part of mixing is making things sound good, but like, how am I going to make this sound the best as they possibly can? I'm not going to go shell out $3,000 for some, analog keyboard or something that has slightly higher quality. My focus is on, the actual music. And I think that's a good thing, but also kind of puts me behind the market, because the market has a lot more focus on pure audio fidelity and these kinds of things that I can get to, but also just aren't really my focus right now. So it's kind of like, it's hard, because I know that the general consumer market for music doesn't necessarily adhere itself to a lot of like creative breakout of certain like molds and stuff. Like look at pop music, like all popular artists kind of stay within a very familiar kind of mold. And I want to break away from that, because, I think music means a lot to me, but also artistic integrity means a lot to me. So how do you balance that? How do you balance being able to actually make money off of the music? Because like my dream is to make money off my music, because that's what I love to do. But I mean, how do I balance that and still keeping artistic integrity and still keeping really true to my own vision for, what I'm making? For me, it's definitely a personal struggle, but it's also, it's a very intimate process making music. So it's a very personal thing. So also even just putting your own personal stuff out there is almost a little bit scary in a way. So I don't know, maybe some of that is kind of factored into my slowdown and not wanting to release it. But I also know that it has potential for being like really good music, objectively. So I don't want to squander that potential. I want to be smart about it. So that's why I've kind of like not put anything out in the public view. Because I know for years my dad was like, "Oh, Wesley, you gotta put this online somewhere. Just get it out there or whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right, but I don't want this to be the first thing people hear from me, or I don't want, I make excuses for myself." But now that I actually understand more of a vision for what I would want, I think now is the time that I could actually hunker down, take these ideas that I have in draft format that have a lot of the meat there that just need polishing basically and re-recording, which is just a part of the process. And then I can have something coherent to actually put out there. So that's probably my next move when it comes to like my own like musical content creation, I guess you could say. That was a lot of different stuff all over.
No, yeah, it's good. No, I mean you're still definitely in your prime, so you still got time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That rhymed.
Sick.
I have to ask for your live pieces. You do like actual instruments, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's just you, right?
Yeah, it's just me layering on different layers.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so you just play a different instrument. You play what you gotta play for those, and you just put it on top of each other.
Yeah, and I'll probably end up doing that more in the computer than I have, because when you're doing this kind of stuff, it's kind of like you're sitting, you do it in one sitting for a few hours or whatever. So I'll just kind of like I have something called Zoom R24, which is a multi-track recorder, so you can record separate tracks at the same time or whatever. So I'll record just a general thing. Doesn't have to be perfect on beat or whatever. Mostly, in fact, most of my music starts as improvisational pieces. So it's like I'll really refine. I'll do a large amount of playing. So say I do like 20 minutes of playing, different kinds of way to play something that I'm creating or I'm working on, and then I'll kind of boil that down to like the best parts of it, and then from there kind of revise. Thing is like I have to take that initiative and actually just finish out the projects. And I know other musicians that have problems with that too. They get stuck on a project and then they just kind of avoid it. And I don't want to fall into that trap because it's kind of scary for me, because when you put a lot of time into something like
you
this,
finish what you started.
Yeah, exactly. You got to finish what you started. So I also I think I just need to stop coming up with new ideas. I come up with a lot of new ideas.
Bad. They just like, especially for, I'm trying to get back into the phase of doing 3D work, game design work, trying to learn Unreal. And I think the biggest issue I have is the same thing, being complacent and not getting work done, because I'll like get halfway in on a project. I'm like, I'll come back to this, and then it'll sit and not be edited for a long time. And I'll finally come back to it. I'm like, what was I doing here?
Yeah, you don't even
know where to pick up
from. Yeah, that's
one thing you don't want to do is just say, just put it down and say, I'll come back to it later, because then you're not going to think about it at all. You'll be right back to where you were.
And sometimes it's not bad to say, let me come back to this, because especially when you're doing work that you're putting a lot of time and effort to in the moment, and you get stuck, the worst thing you can do is sit there and struggle with it. Sometimes you just need your eyes to get off the screen, or your ears to get away from the sounds for a little bit.
I think that's actually anytime you're creating something, sometimes you can kind of get not blinded, but you kind of get used to it or whatever. And you can't really get jaded. Yeah, you can't really see all this. Like I know when I was editing videos a while ago, I'll go through, and if I was really tired or whatever, or edited for a long time, I really wouldn't be able to discern a lot of the different elements. Like I'll watch it a couple days later and I'll be like, oh yeah, that cut is off or whatever. I won't notice things as much. You're a lot more in tune with it when you're fresh. So yeah, it's definitely it's a slippery slope, because if you leave it for too long, you might end up losing whatever creative drive you had, or even a vision on that. And then there's also like the factor that you might not ever even you might, or for me it's like my fear is like I'll rush it and then I'll be like, oh, this is good, and then a couple weeks later I'll think of something like way better or a way to change it, and it's like I have to kind of fight that tinkering kind
There's
of
always
part
something
of myself.
That you could do better, but you shouldn't, especially when you finish a project. That's the one thing you can't do, is you can't go back and like, let me fix that, let me do this different.
You have to commit.
You have to commit to what you're finished with, because my instructor said the same thing. Don't go back to your old projects and work on them. Work on something new. That way, you're not always sitting there like, how can I make this better?
Right.
Because you'll just get stuck on the same project and you'll be just in a friggin' vicious loop. Yeah. It's not good. You need to be able to move on from the work you finished, but you also need to learn to, finish the work you start.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, that's 100% true. That applies to a lot of different creative mediums and stuff. And I think that if I could focus on that album, And I think that's actually what I am going to do. I'm going to focus on the live album part first. I don't know. It's exciting for me. Like like I said, I love making music, but I'm also like somewhat of a perfectionist, really almost exclusively when it comes to like the things that I create. And that's part of the reason like I moved away from video content production, because I mean like I was okay at it, but I didn't really excel that much, and
Your heart wasn't really in it.
My heart wasn't it, because I love doing that kind of stuff, but I just wasn't that great at it. Like I was fine. I could do much better now, but it would require a lot of effort to relearn a lot of stuff. And then like, what would I do with that? Because when I was like 12 or 13, I had a lot of drive to do this stuff. I had a bunch of free time. I was homeschooled. I could just like play video games a bunch, record it, and just like mess around with my friends and stuff. And it was fun. But it was also a very different time in my life. So I kind of shifted my creative matter. It's more of
it pertains to your music. So
your palette's kind of loaded up. You're dealing with school. You're dealing with work. And you're also learning to juggle. Like a little bit of decompression time,
right,
as well as doing your own personal work, the work you actually take pride in.
Right, exactly.
But you kind of got to juggle it around because you're having to deal with two important things, which is work and school. When I was going to school for my 3D, I didn't have a job.
Mm-hmm.
I went completely on student loans, which the school's name now is completely worthless. So my degree is almost equivalent to that, and I still owe like $40,000, which thing. So that's good. Right. But I had a lot of downtime when I was going through college.
Yeah,
and I think I could have did better and worked on work at home like I'm trying to do now.
Right.
Because maybe I wouldn't be as complacent and as lazy with my 3D work. Maybe I'd actually have a 3D job. If there were any game design jobs here in Alabama, but there aren't.
I mean, you could design a rocket, but like that's pretty much it.
See, the only game jobs here are for friggin' like America's Army or our military simulation. I'm not.
Well, I mean, what you can do is you can use your 3D modeling in like marketing.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
and that's another thing. Was like I'd love to sit down, build some logos. Like I'm
you did pretty good on the Variety Pie business cards.
Thank you.
If you dabble a bit in marketing, I'm sure you can excel at it. Like you're doing the new intro and outro. Not sure when that's going to drop, but it's going to drop nonetheless.
Yeah, I gotta stop being complacent and get that stuff done. Especially since I got a trial of substance right now. I'm gonna take a look at it and see how they do their texturing. It's because I'm hoping it's gonna be a lot easier than trying to do Blender.
Also, since Paul's re-recording the intro and we got Avenue on the back burner for the new outro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, so do you said you're learning Unity. Do you know a programming language?
I don't do Unity anymore because Unity is it's a good starting out engine, but I'm trying to learn Unreal.
Right.
Which uses C++ instead of C# or JavaScript, which is what Unity primarily
C++ is definitely where you're going to want to be at. And honestly, if you get good enough interacting with that, then there's a lot of job opportunities like in many different fields for that. So it's really flexible when you start learning a good program.
The big thing I want to do is I want to build, projects and build my own games. I don't want to go work for anybody because
I do too, man.
There's nothing here, and I think. This is a town that primarily focuses on military, rocket science. Did I catch it? I didn't catch the fly.
Mark Son.
And I don't like that too much because we got Low Mill. It's the only artistic hub in this entire town that I can think of off the top of my head.
Right.
And, I'd like to see more than just like something like Curse Industries. Because Curse isn't doing game design; it just exists.
Right.
For third-party application softwares. That fly is going to bother me. I swear.
I don't think it's a fly.
Mark the fly.
But yeah, no, I mean, I feel you. It's tough.
I want to build my own game company if at all possible, even if I have to just be an indie developer for the time being.
You said that with such disgust. An indie developer.
Well, there's nothing wrong in that because the first game I want to build it, completely free, and I want to rebuild Trouble in Terrorist Town.
Oh yeah, you want to make it its own standalone game, right?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Because I love the concept. I'm just like, there's no reason to buy Gmod for one thing I want to play.
And then you could really expand the
I
content.
like Gmod free.
Plus, I could build my own
No.
maps. I could build my
No,
own
they-
terrace
they-
rooms. I could build
it's
my
been
own
like
weapons
10,
and
20.
how things interact.
Yeah. I don't know how that would work
And-
brand wise. It should be fine because it was a mod to begin with. But yeah, no,
You
I
can
mean,
even
that's a
name it
great
something
idea.
else if you want to.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, you could definitely work around.
Yeah, I was coming up with a name. I forgot what I had come up with, but I thought it was good. I don't remember what it was called though.
It's fine. So they call them traitors. You can be like, and it's like terrorists win. Let's see. Oh, how can we?
Terrorists win.
The liberals win.
I think I was calling it Betrayal.
Betrayal. Business and Bruiser Town.
Oh, I'm dead.
No, Business and Bruiser Bill.
Heck yeah.
And I thought of having like some funky functions in there, like say, one of the innocents just like goes around, kills the entire team. You're just like, you need the traitors kill him, and you freaking end of the round said the man who did the most damage was innocent.
Oh, I'm dead. Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's
A traitor amongst innocents.
Exactly. It gives you a lot of flexibility, though, within that whole thing, because I think there's a lot of stuff that you could add to make it more fun, but also a lot more balanced. Like, think about it. I played lots of different Gmod,
I definitely
servers
don't
are
want to do
like-
hit scan because I love bullet trajectory. I think that's a big thing that I missed about Battlefield when I got
Right.
back into it, and then I didn't like with Call of Duty because Call of Duty was just point and click.
right.
It wasn't as fun.
Hey, New Call of Duty isn't a hit scan anymore.
Oh my god, I'm so happy.
I know, but I was about to say, in the Gmod actual TTT servers, there's a lot of different mechanics that some servers introduce because of mods, obviously. So I think that sometimes I've been in a balanced server, and then sometimes I've been in one that's they allow the traders to have this buy menu that lets them have really OP crap. Dude had this dubstep gun. It was ridiculous. It was super
my
funny.
Lord.
It destroyed everybody. There's this one that turns you into sands. And it's but it's a one-hit melee, and you have 900
from
health. Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was really funny. It reminded me of something from VR chat or something.
That's pretty goofy.
But you could definitely actually create kind of its own self-perpetuating community if you really make that model. Because you could create something that's a very good base product and it's free and you allow people to try it and stuff. And then maybe there's some
Give
form
them
of
the
monetization.
toolkit to kind of mess with it.
Right, and then you can let the modding community do the legwork for the big stuff. I think, or not even the big stuff, but even just a lot
Making
of the
new
variety.
maps and
Yeah.
weapons and
Yeah,
stuff.
release your toolkit on the Steam Workshop.
Think about Pavlov.
See, it would be Unreal. Like I said, I was wanting to use the Unreal Engine. I would have to.
You can still release the stuff on the Steam Workshop.
Can
Right?
you?
Oh yeah,
It-
no,
okay,
it is
awesome.
think about
It is more than just Source.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. With Pavlov, it's VR. It's kind of if CS:GO was VR. Most of the maps are custom maps that are made by the community, but you can also update the maps, and it'll when you push an update, it just shows up as Steam Workshop, and then however much MB it is, and then it downloads obviously. But so there's actually lots of cool tools already built into Steam that you can utilize for something like that. It wouldn't even be that hard. You just have to make sure that you don't give away the source code, I guess, when you do something like that. I don't know how it works to release mod tools and stuff for certain games.
Yeah, but that's another thing I'll have to look into. But back to you.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'd actually share a very similar kind of, I guess you could say, dream or vision when it comes to game development. I mean, I've always wanted to make my own game and stuff, or work on games. And I'd love to be able to make soundtracks for games, but I have a pretty decent sense of game design and that kind of stuff, and team management. So I could definitely be useful in an indie dev kind of scenario, because a lot of indie dev teams are very small, right? You usually are multiple positions or multiple roles, within the team when you're in an indie dev team. So I mean, if you find the right people, I feel like you really jive with that. My buddy Eric, he's a programmer. He's working for Radiance Technology, which is an engineering firm, and he's been doing a lot of cool stuff with his programming stuff. But I know that he could totally program for games and stuff. And even my little brother's actually shown some interest in learning programming and stuff. And I was like, dude, that's awesome, because when I was in high school, I took one programming class, and it was the stupidest thing in the world. We had two of these middle-aged engineer dudes, just obviously had no idea how to teach kids how to code. and they gave us this textbook from 1994.
Oh God.
C++.
Hey, that's so irrelevant.
We had to copy everything from the book. So imagine trying to decide whether or not that's 14 spaces over or 16 spaces over. It was awful, and the first project was actually really freaking hard, and I was like, I don't even know how to do this.
Why
the book
am I
isn't
here?
open. Why am I here? I quit it the first week, and it was a really good decision, honestly. But it really like jaded me towards programming and stuff.
Oh, that's a bad taste in your
I
mouth.
got some
Really did.
Unreal, like my instructor, cool graduation thing he did. He went and Humble Bundle had this book giveaway for Unreal textbooks. You know,
Oh, really?
current like relevant stuff for programming in Unreal or designing in Unreal and stuff. And I was like, awesome, thank you. I actually need this because the books they gave us for programming were for Python and JavaScript.
Okay. Yeah.
And we never used Python, but we had to learn it for some reason. We didn't use it.
It's situational.
And on top of that, like I said, my school, we're actually the last 3D program to get closed.
Dang.
And the decision was made because of idiots that didn't know what the actual expenses of a 3D program are. We're like, hey, we need upgraded computers, which we did. And rather than ask the instructor our head of the program at the time, they asked one of the students. His answer was, we need more RAM. I'm like, we need graphics cards and processors.
Mark, it's easy. You download that from Bing. That's how you get more RAM.
Aren't you subscribed to that one channel that advertises their Minecraft servers with unlimited RAM? Like they're like, dude, if you get the premium package, you get a server with unlimited RAM.
But I mean, my point was this: is that they didn't know who to ask about relevant stuff. They didn't know how expensive a 3D program actually was. So they started cutting people. They started cutting costs. We never did get upgraded computers. We had to struggle all the way to the end of our 3D program on computers that would blue screen every 10 minutes.
Oh my gosh, that sounds
because
awful.
they couldn't handle it.
Yeah, I mean, I did very, very light
That's why
3D work with After Effects, and it was like crashing my program, and I had a decent PC at the time.
Yeah, and that's why I got that. I know what it can handle because I built it. My mom told me, don't skimp on anything. Buy what you need. I'll pay for it all. And I'm like,
oh, shoot. All right.
Hold on.
Bet. You're going to regret this later, Mom.
No, I can't get into specifics, but she came, she helped us out. I got the computer set up so we can do 3D work of all sorts, whether it's 3D printing, game design, model work, model building, didn't matter.
Yeah.
We got it to build everything. And my instructors always said, if you got a decent, like a really good gaming computer, that's all you need to do 3D work.
Right.
Because if it can handle a video game, it can handle 3D work.
I mean, like, yeah, actually, that machine is more than capable for any sort of gaming nowadays, but I think it'll be good.
That thing is demonic on TF2.
Oh my gosh. Dude, I get 360 frames on TF2. No input lag.
Dude, it was, I remember playing on my old laptop. I think I still got my laptop. I remember playing on that, and I played on this, and I was like, I'm never going back to that laptop. Never.
Right, I feel that. Like, I remember I used to play CSGO, like, when I had, like, the integrated graphics card. Oh my gosh, dude, it was awful. It ran like 40 FPS, and then I got a graphics card, like, non-integrated, and it ran at like 120.
Honestly,
it was playing on Microsoft PowerPoint.
I think that's the worst way to play.
Completely different.
I think that's the worst way to play is on an integrated graphics card system because my brother Brock, you probably rarely ever heard me talk about him, but he's like, I don't need that. I've got an integrated graphics card. I'm like,
yeah, all right.
All right, pal.
But can it run Crysis?
I've got potatoes with more compatibility with a computer than you do.
Oof.
Can it run Terraria? That is the question.
Yeah, it could run Terraria. That's no big issue.
Barely.
It was when you started adding dimensions or actual good graphics that it's like, I can't handle this rebooting.
But can it play Yoshi's Story for the N64?
Don't tempt me. That's a good game.
That's a very good game. I was listening to the soundtrack. It's such a goofy soundtrack. It's so nostalgic.
It is. But bro, oh my gosh! Actually, this is a little bit off subject.
Go ahead.
I was playing Counter-Strike earlier today, like CS:GO, obviously, and I've never had this happen ever. But this dude barely kills the last guy as they planted the bomb. There's 2 guys left. He kills them both, and he goes over to try to defuse the bomb. And it's like, and it's beeping really fast. We're all like, oh, we lost this round. He comes over and starts defusing it. It's beep, beep, beep. And then it literally is like, I'm not kidding. He defused it at the last possible millisecond you could. It said bomb defused at 0.000 seconds. And I was like, yeet?
That's like Mission Impossible intuition right there.
That's like Zach Galifianakis when he's freaking sitting there crunching the numbers trying to get the cards going.
Is it the green wire or the red wire?
He's sitting there like.
They can't see us, Mark.
No, that's right.
We have no
He's making a face.
He's just making a face, and he's just like counting numbers with his lips, and you're just like, bro, you can't. Are you mumbling? You stumbling? Something.
I'm good. But yeah, I guess I don't know. Back to the game development thing though. I've always thought that it would be really cool to like put together an indie team and just work on something kind of like maybe a little bit smaller scale or smaller in vision, just because you have like a smaller team and stuff. And I think that Trouble in Terrace Town idea is awesome because of the potential for user generated content. And the potential for it to obviously you want to put enough work into it to make it good, but it's not like you're gonna need to reinvent the wheel necessarily.
I mean, the groundwork's been paved. I just need to figure out how to, build the system differently. I have to rebuild everything from the ground up, or I have to do all the scripting.
You know, what'd be really cool is if you kind of make it a little bit more physics based. To where it's like you can actually, because that's something that's missing from Source Engine. There's physics for objects and stuff, but there's not really in most, like for instance, any other iteration after Gmod of a TTT game mode. There hasn't been any sort of like messing with the environment and using that in a creative way. I think that could actually change up the game a little bit.
You say that, I watched somebody club somebody out cold with a bench in Trouble in TTT. I was sitting there laughing. And it said his death was caused by a blunt force trauma. Several bones were cracked.
That's good. That's a good point, though. I mean, if you like make maps that is more like interactive, because like the only of all the TTT games I've ever played, the only things you ever interact with is doors.
Yeah,
it's literally
maybe the test or like a switch or something. That's
but that's honestly, like once every blue moon. Yeah. But it's always just doors.
Right, and also in the user-generated content sphere, there's really nothing out there that lets you go to that degree. Like if you could somehow make it to where you could market your modding tools as being like intricate enough to even like program good physics stuff and like even put physics puzzles in somewhere to get a cool gun or something. Like that's just an off-the-wall example, but like that, there's a lot of potential for that. And I think that once you have a community that kind of like gravitates around it, and as long as you support the game, I mean, really, if you do it right, it's very viable. It's a good idea. But yeah,
I'm full of those. One of my instructors.
Maybe you need to write it down.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. One of my instructors can put this, and he's actually there's some truth to this. There's no place in the industry for idea guys. Only people that can bring something to the table.
He's definitely kind of right about that. There's a lot more about what you actually can bring to the table versus what you say you can.
Or what
you can, but
because your ideas only hold so much weight if you can't.
It's always great to be hashtag inspired.
Okay? Hashtag relatable, you mean?
Hashtag thankful. Hashtag blessed.
Goodness, I'm so glad that we can't go in and throw all these hashtags on the screen. Like
all the eyes closed, hands together emojis.
Yeah.
Crying, laughing face emoji.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I guess move on to the next subject.
Yes, the NES subject, Earthbound. Upcoming games. What are you excited for, Wesley?
I'm very excited for the new Modern Warfare. That's a fan of old school Call of Duty and any sort of realistic shooters.
They actually look like they're actually trying.
Caring about their games.
I
can't
give a
believe
shit
it.
this
They're-
time.
Maybe.
They're like, what? We're listening to our customers?
Yeah, I mean,
Why did we never think of this before?
right?
No, like you said, there's only one thing I think that could make this bad, and that's microtransactions.
I mean, that's pretty
Which
much
is
the
gonna
sense of
happen.
it.
It's gonna
Regardless.
happen
I'm
regardless.
so-
It's just the question is, how are they gonna do it? Are they
How
gonna do it?
egregious
much?
are
Are they gonna do it the right way, kind of like Rainbow,
Cosmetics.
or are they gonna do it the bad way, like Battlefront 2?
Although, I mean, Rainbow, I think, is an objectively really, really good game, and it stood the test of time. But they launched with a lot of microtransactions and stuff, so I don't want to compare it to Rainbow, because Rainbow actually launched with like a huge amount of day one microtransactions and stuff that they purposely cut from the game to, or at least created just to be sold separately. And that's kind of not a practice that I like to support personally. I like more substantial kind of stuff, and even if you're going to do cosmetic, I think it should be more of a trickle feed to just keep the retention of your audience.
But at least they have the decency to have it just as cosmetic
Right,
and not
right.
like anything that would actually change the game.
This isn't Black Ops 4 with your gun case for like $20. No, I mean this is
Yeah.
this is definitely like not egregious, but then again, you never know. I mean, like for instance, they'll have that watch. One of the features of Modern Warfare is going to be that you have a watch you can check that has the real world time. It's kind of goofy. There's also something they're calling a Tamagotchi, which is if you get kills and you feed it, and like if your KD's bad, it dies or something.
Wow,
Like,
that's effed up.
it's pretty funny.
My KD is gonna be like 0.001.
But yeah,
you just send me as them.
they're doing goofy little stuff like that, which I really appreciate. I think that kind of will kind of clash with the tone a little bit, but in a fun way. So I don't think it's going to be that, and it's optional. I heard, but
Where's
also
this pick taken?
today.
Where? I said not when.
But bro, if there is not a DLC Mickey Mouse watch that I can put on, that I swear I'm gonna be pissed.
That's. I'm not sure how I feel about the Tamagotchi because my KD is gonna be through the ground.
You can turn it off; it's optional. But no, I feel like if you did like customized or like cosmetic watch stuff, that would be cool. Because then you could look at your little Mickey Mouse watch or whatever, you know, like your little Hello Kitty thing. That would be funny. I feel like it'd be really fun.
No, it's definitely hashtag cute.
Yeah, but I mean, like soldiers are known to take in little trinkets and personalize their stuff. So I mean, something like the charm system, I think, makes sense in Rainbow because it's like these in the lore. It's like these operators would definitely have like little trinkets and stuff.
Little keychains just hanging off the gun.
Yeah, I mean, if it's possible, and it's not like
Nothing that would act clinkety clank against the gun.
Exactly.
Right.
I think one cool thing with the watch system, I would love to have like some red versus blue sponsor stuff because I want either Sarge or a shotgun symbol.
They won't do it because it's not Halo.
Yeah,
So
that's
you can
fair.
take that idea and you can.
Okay.
Well, at least have a watch
Well, what
that
if
I
they
can
had
customize the background.
Then put it in Halo Infinite.
Yeah. What if they had Master Chief as an operator, dude? This is why Rainbow needs online
No,
modding.
oh my
dude.
god,
That would
no,
be
please,
so
no,
fun.
no. What about
They
you know,
do.
custom backgrounds for your watches? Like maybe going in
Like something you can actually upload? That would be cool.
because I would put in there.
That-
Like
would
a
be
paint
good
shop
idea.
for your watch.
That'd be a good idea because I'd want to buy something like
Then
that.
you can still do the model cosmetics, but still have like a little background, kind of like how they did the paint shop in like the Black Ops 3 and 4.
Because I'd love to have on the back of my watch say "Today's a good day to die" as I'm sitting there looking at it. Like,
You know what? You're right.
I'm dead. But yeah, no, Modern Warfare looks good. I think a lot of people have talked about like Remedy. You know, they make Quantum Break and Alan Wake and stuff. It's like this really out there kind of looking game where you got all these like pseudo psychological powers and you're like floating around like doing this crazy like magical stuff. I don't even know how to explain it. You have to look at one of the trailers, but it looks absolutely gorgeous and super fun to play.
What's it called again?
It's called. I said it once already. What did I say? I'm blanking on the
The
name.
numbers, Mason. What do they mean?
Fucking numbers, Mason. Control.
Control.
Yeah. And it looks incredible. I really enjoyed Quantum Break. I was a big fan of that game. The gameplay was incredible. I don't know if you ever played that.
I've heard of Quantum Break and Alan Wake.
They rhyme. I didn't even realize.
Oh my
Quantum
gosh,
Break,
yeah.
Alan Wake, Control. You ruined it.
You ruined it.
Kinda like,
Uninstall the game.
what's his name from?
I've heard of those games. I've heard good things. I never played them myself. But I'll take your word.
Quantum Break is on Game Pass. I'd highly recommend
it?
playing it. It's
Uh-huh.
super fun and really good graphically as well.
I'll download some when I get home.
It is. It's backwards compatible. 360.
No, is it on the Game Pass?
Oh, it might be. I don't know. I had that one for free, so I couldn't really tell. Well, because I got it with Quantum Break, because I bought Quantum Break at launch or whatever.
Mm.
But yeah, no, I really enjoy Quantum Break, so Control looks cool. And then I think the last game, I mean, this is an obvious one, Cyberpunk 2077. I mean, like, come on.
Of course.
It's going to be
course.
probably one of the best
Oh,
RPGs.
It is not just because of Keanu Reeves, right, Mark?
You're breathtaking.
Mark, you are breathtaking.
Don't even get me started on that Reddit circle jerk.
Oh, gosh.
I'm sick of seeing that guy's face.
I love
Keanu
Keanu Reeves.
Reeves.
It's not his fault.
He's
that
a good person. It's just Reddit just jerks off over him every day.
It's a lot like Elon Musk. I get that. Yeah.
Oh, God, don't even get me started on him.
What else can we not get you
I
started
mean,
on?
he's like a
You can't talk
he's
about
like a failure of a businessman, but everyone just circle jerks over him because he likes anime and video games.
Yeah, it's so true.
So basically, everyone that Reddit deity like worships as a deity, you can't talk about around Jeremy. So you can't talk about Keanu. You can't talk about Elon. You can't talk about Bob Ross. You can't
I
talk
don't have a
about
problem
Mr.
with Bob.
Rogers.
Bob is
I
cool.
don't have a problem with those two because
I
they
don't have
don't
a
circle
problem
jerk
with
as
old Bob.
much. It's just when the Keanu Reeves thing was going, oh my lord, especially that one.
Yeah, it's tough for me because I love Keanu Reeves, but then I get why this is cringy. So it's kind of like it's almost like the whole Rick and Morty thing for me. Like I liked Rick and Morty. I watched it before all the memes became popular, and then it just was like super cringy.
Is your IQ high enough to watch it? Though?
It wasn't at the time, but now that I'm done watching it, it's really pushed me past the limit. So I mean, or
Here's
past the
the
limit.
sad
Much
part.
more than being an atheist could do.
Oh, I mean, dude, like I'd have big brain then. So like I'm on medium brain, small
Okay,
brain.
oh, small brain. Okay, you haven't reached
Here's the
that
sad
quantum
thing.
realm yet.
When the whole Keanu Reeves thing was happening, I was sitting there freaking working. I was working, and
really?
everybody's like, "Dude, did you see the Cyberpunk?" My coworkers would be like, "Did you see the reveal?" I'm like, "No, why?" Keanu Reeves was on there. Cole, what have you done? What have you brought to the table for the company? I'm printing some teeth.
Yes.
I'm like, thank you.
Look, I think
Thank you.
Keanu's role will be good. He's actually one of the main. I think his name is Johnny in the thing. I watched some interview with this actually really cool dude who's like the main writer for 2020 and this and whatever future projects. I love that guy. He had a lot of really articulate things to say and really encouraged me based on how all of these promises are being made about how the game's going to work. But it seems like he can deliver because he's really got this intricate narrative woven in a way that works.
Wait, dude. I'm a sucker for shooters, and when I saw the shooter elements they're bringing into 77, I was just like, I didn't even care if it was hit scan or not, but it was like
It's gonna
a
be hit scan.
large open world. Was it open world? Large open world cityscape Witcher.
Oh yeah,
Which I was
Did
like-
we all play The Witcher 3 by the way?
I have not played
I
it.
have not played.
It is
Witcher
still
3.
it is still wrapped up.
I'm a failure of a
You
gamer.
troglodytes, are you serious?
I know everyone's like, Aslan, you play Skyrim, right? I'm like, yes, I love Skyrim. They're like,
It's-
play
It's like
Witcher.
if Skyrim was a 9 out of 10.
They do the same thing with me when they're like, Aslan, you love Lord of the Rings. You've seen Game of Thrones, right? I'm like, I've never seen Game of Thrones. They're like, you're a failure.
mods. It can get up to me.
Welcome
yeah,
to
no, I mean-
modern culture.
On God,
Yeah.
and I'm being non-ironic when I say this. It is very, very worth it to buy The Witcher 3 and play it before Cyberpunk comes
I've
out.
got the whole complete or the what's the friggin' one with the yellow bar on top? It's like
Oh, you like the edition of
the
game
full
or something?
edition of the game. I've got it. I have.
You have it. You haven't played
I've yet to unwrap it too.
I'm dead. Look, I did this. I can't say anything because I bought The Witcher 3 at launch, played it for 9 hours in total within like the first week, and then I didn't play it for a year because at the time it just wasn't melding with what I was feeling like playing. And I didn't really get into the meat of the game yet. I was struggling with the RPG mechanics because I hadn't played that many RPGs.
That's
before
kind of
that.
what happened with me with Days Gone. I played it for like a week straight. Didn't beat it. Didn't even get to the irrelevant stuff.
Yeah.
And then just like stopped playing it until recently. And I was like, shoot, I still have that game on my PS4. It's been in there since freaking January. When did Days Gone?
Natural language.
No, when did it come in out? June or July?
Oh, this year? No, Days Gone was definitely earlier.
Regardless, I had it in my system.
Which J month?
Juniper. I don't know.
January.
Regardless, it
There
had,
you go.
it had basically sat in my console for a long time, and I hadn't played it, and I just realized it was still on my console. So I was like, you know what? Finally powered on my PS4 for the first time in 2 months, and finally sat down and started playing the game.
I'm proud of you. You are breaking out of your shell.
Incredible.
That's Well, first thing, that's the only thing that reminded me of what it's like to put a game on the back burner and realize how good it is to come back.
I totally get that. Yeah, but I have to say,
I don't want that to happen to me when I play The Witcher.
I very much so recommend getting into The Witcher because it is, after that 9 hours, I went back to it after a year, right? And then I played, a couple hours or whatever, and then I realized that these mechanics weren't as hard to grasp as I had thought, and there was some updates since then, so there was like an alternate response scheme for rolling and stuff, which made it feel better for me. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. I realized that all of these quests, the majority of these quests, are actually really well written and well executed. Like, there's a lot of content, and the content is really good. The decisions you make in the dialogue matter. Like, I at one point had this interaction where there's this sorceress woman that you meet. She's like your friend. I think it's from a previous Witcher game. I didn't play Witcher 2 or 1. I have The Witcher 2 actually, but I never played it because I bought it after The Witcher 3. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. But what does matter is like so we went on this like date. I banged her, and then we went to.
Okay.
And we were like, no, but then you get to this point where you find out that she's that she's been like working for what you would consider to be an unethical army or something. I can't remember the exact thing, but she's like, "What's the difference?" Whatever. There's this whole like moral thing, and you have to decide like where you stand on that. And one of the options. I'm sorry, just real fast. This is worth it. One of the options was like, it was like, okay, I understand, but you got to give back this thing and not give it to the people because it was like some information that would hurt another army or something. I can't remember exactly. It was more interesting, to be honest. But it was like, you had that, and then you had another option to kind of like side with her. But then there was another option that was just, I can't believe we fucked. And I was like,
God.
And I was like, I have to choose. That's the only one for me. And then you get to murder her after.
Please don't demonetize us.
You're gonna have to edit.
Hey, this is in context. We're talking about a creative.
Yes, but once it becomes a permanent file on the internet, that's when it's gonna hurt the most.
I'm dead. You guys are so monetized as it is, right?
We are. How dare you disrupt our freaking record?
Dude,
like that.
My bad.
No, screw us.
Wait, which video was our first one that got demonetized?
It was the one where I used the Avengers theme in it. And they copyright striked me.
What if I sing it right now?
No,
don't do it.
You should have seen it the last time when we had somebody do the Star Wars Empire theme.
Oh, no.
We got demonetized. I'm just funny we didn't.
I mean, you could.
See, I don't mind like getting demonetized because that's not like getting an actual copyright strike. And a copyright strike, I think I can consider when a video gets pulled off the YouTube.
Right.
Then
or they strike your account.
Wait,
I mean, that's kind of scary.
The YouTube.
The YouTube.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are we talking about in first person or third person?
No, you just said the YouTube. I thought it was funny.
The tube of you.
Sure.
I'm gonna throw you out.
Okay, but yeah, Witcher 3, good game. Very good game. Okay. Cyberpunk 2077 looks lit as well. So, like, we'll see.
We'll have to see. So let's go to our closing statements. So Wesley, do you have any idea when we're going to be able to see any of your content drop, any of your music?
Ha. Oh, ha ha. No.
It's all good. It's all good.
I mean, if I really, I've got a lot of personal stuff I
Give
have
me
to
a
work
ballpark
out.
estimate.
Ballpark estimate year.
Okay.
But if I decide to fully commit to just working on an album and actually putting that out as the first thing, I put out, then that'll take me 6 months to a year.
Right.
But I am, and this, I'm taking a year off from college after I take a couple of the classes this semester because I'm moving out and I'm doing, I've got a lot of life stuff happening.
Breaks are nice.
But this will give me a chance to kind of focus on that, so that I think it kind of makes sense for where I'm at, and even in my own like skill progression. Because after I make the music, then I have to really master it to the point where I can play it live without thinking, and that's a whole nother thing. So it's kind of like there's different stages to it. So once I get to the stage where I have the album out, then I'm also going to have to work on actually like being able to do this all live, which is going to be an interesting thing. And I'm trying to take that into account as I make the music. So because like, to be honest, the only way you're going to make real money as a musician is at shows and stuff and playing places.
Just make sure you don't pull a Dragon Force on everybody. Make the song so dang hard, even you can't play it.
Yeah, that's I'm worried about that for some of the electronic stuff.
But then you could be the most legendary song in a Guitar Hero game.
Exactly.
That is still one of my favorite.
But everyone knows that song.
See, I like Operation Ground Pound more than the Through the Fire and the Flames.
My dad says Cliffs of Dover is a really hard song to learn.
Oh yeah, it is actually. There's a lot
Mostly
of
because the
stuff
music
with it.
He's
It was
mastered
fun.
it. It took him like a year.
Yeah, it's tough.
Okay, so about a year we are patient boys, and hopefully when when that music drops, you will whitelist us. And
Oh,
we
of
can,
course,
we can,
of course.
Awesome. So you'll be able to hear the
Hold on,
music
let's
from
blacklist
Wesley
him.
Denison at Variety Pie with an ETA, maybe a year, maybe when we're all
How
dead.
about this? I'm gonna go take a page out of CD Projekt Red's book. It's relevant, and just say, I'll release it when it's ready.
We're just gonna go off of Valve time.
Yeah, we'll go. No, because Valve time is that's too much, dude.
How about
that just means it's
Emerald
never
Wind
gonna happen.
Standard Time?
What?
Emerald Wind Guard Standard Time.
Oof. we left that years ago, Mark.
Yeah.
All right. So any last words, Wesley, before we kill you?
Yeah. I mean, like it's been a good run. No, I appreciate you. You having me on the podcast.
I appreciate you having.
I guarantee you
having
that
you on here. I'm dead.
I guarantee you that a lot of this music stuff is going to change for me. So I have no idea what genre I'll end up really focusing on. But if you like chill hop or jazz or indie rock, then I mean like you probably like my music. So there's that. Maybe that's where I should focus on that. But yeah, no. Yeah, look out for something. I'll probably just go under the name Wesley Denison because I think it makes the most sense for me. And I could make up some pretentious band name like Ziggy and the Wharfs or something. I don't know.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, this one very clever. Something that.
Biscuit Boy and the Interlopers.
Oh my gosh!
I got a lot of goofy band names.
No, yeah, I like them all. Give them all to me. Can I have them? Give them to me, please.
You can have Biscuit Boys, but like
In the Interlopers?
No, you can't call it in the Interlopers because I need blank in the Interlopers. I feel like that works well.
Okay.
Modern American
All right,
Nazis.
Jeremy.
No, I don't have a No Man's Sky joke for that one.
Mark?
Dang it.
Shut your mouth.
Raw Interloper.
Jeremy, any closing statements? You barely say anything, but
Well,
you don't got
not
anything?
for me. You know?
wow.
Yeah, I'm a loser.
Gosh, why don't we invite you? Mark, any closing statements?
Yeah, will you be joining us at Bad Karma in, was it the
The 31st. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I have to ask off tonight.
That's
Make sure to remind me.
unrelated.
Make sure to remind me.
still relevant.
We're not recording any of it though.
It's fine. It's
all right. It's all my
personal thing.
fault.
Wink, wink.
All right. Well, thank you guys for
Thank you
for tuning
for-
in. If you did, you're a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed our rambling. And you guys have an excellent day/evening. Goodbye.
Later.